It's time to build some chops, get a new warm-up together, and finally solve the mystery of the missing bass technique. It's Metal Bass Monday. So, quick orders of business before we get into all the cool stuff. If you've been watching Metal Bass Monday, you know I've been giving some updates on some of the things from reaction videos to Metal Bass Microscope and things where I play pieces of music and we analyze them and check out other bassists and things, and how that's become a bit of an issue with the channel because of copyright and content ID things. So I've definitely been looking into that, and I found some other platforms and things that I'll be announcing soon, and the channel's going to branch out a bit into places where I can do the full content with the full music and really give you guys the whole treatment and extended amounts of information and things, and not have to worry so much about the channel getting taken down or something because of it. So that's coming up, and the options are really cool. So I think it's going to be a plus rather than just a life preserver to keep those series going. So that's definitely coming up. And I've had a number of you reach out as far as lessons and everything, and that's been amazing. A few weeks back, I mentioned that I was for a short time going to be doing a 4-video and book guided kind of set of lessons for my methodology that I use, and is going to be put into a larger platform soon. I'm probably going to draw that one to a close here pretty soon. The schedule's getting heavier as far as a lot of video content that's going to be coming out soon. And as far as having a more rigid schedule, not sure how long I'll be able to keep that up. And I definitely don't want the quality of the sessions to diminish. But the one-on-one things and individual sessions, definitely still happening. And if I can squeeze in a few more of you guys who've asked recently, I'll see what I can do on the packages. But as far as that goes, again, it's been really, really cool working with a number of you and having you as students and being able to show this system to people. And so far, it's been working really well, and I've just really had a great time. I enjoy teaching, and meeting all of you has been just awesome. There has not been one lame or bad session, and that's really cool. So thank you to everybody for doing that and for being awesome, and not just for watching the channel, but for getting with me and letting me interact more one-on-one with you. That's been great. So, with practicing in mind, let's go to topic 1. So, I've been getting a lot of questions from the comment section and inside of lessons about the 3-finger plucking technique. If you haven't seen my full video on it, that's going to be carded up there. Check it out if you're interested in that. But a common thing is a lot of guys and girls are saying that they're still having a tough time getting it up to speed or getting everything even and getting the fingers to sound the same and getting the whole system to kind of work on itself. For me, there's one way around it, and this is also part of my routine when I need to get my chops back together, and I need to do it in a short period of time and really just get performance ready. I do this one a lot, and I'm going to incorporate this into a larger set of warm-ups and things. So, and this is what works for me, but what seems to get me after a period of not being able to play or just not being as active, or when I really got to boost my performance, my kind of fail-safe seems to work every time. Practice things I throw in along with my usual that are kind of my boot camp that gets me back up to marching order, as it were. And really, when it comes down to the 3-finger thing, I find that it's like with any practicing, that you have to take whatever your weak spot is and what seems to be dragging and what seems to kind of weaken the most in your off time, isolate it and hammer it until it gets up to speed with the rest of what you're doing. And this is a mistake I see a lot of players make, guitar players, bassists, whatever, is that they try and do an entire technique all the way through and not just break it down to the part that's really causing the stumbling block. It's the old thing of you're only as good as the weakest part of the chain. It's, that's always going to be the stumbling piece, so focus on that first until it's not a problem. So for me, what I'll usually do after a break of playing bass, like I've been playing a lot of guitar lately, doing some groundwork for some projects, and my right hand isn't as tight as it usually would be. So what usually happens, especially since I play with three fingers, is these two are the ones that start to get lazy. And it's because they're tighter together on a tighter joint. You can do this with these two, but you can't really do it with them. So these tend to tighten up sooner and start to move as one piece rather than getting individualized. And this is usually what people stumble with when they go to three finger technique. So what I'll do is just for an entire week, I'll just play everything I need to play using these two fingers instead of these two, how you usually would. Just get these going, and I'll do all my scales. All my sequences. I'll play every song. Basically, this one goes on the bench. He's not allowed to come back out for a week. Just use these two. Even when I do a daily warm-up, I usually start with these two and then add in my third, because they're always going to be the tightest. It's amazing how just a short period off and they tend to start to want to bind together. So if you play three fingers and you notice the same type of thing, or if you're looking to get into it, this is the way to really kind of hammer it home and get your finger style together and get that rear finger in rotation once and for all. And again, it's no more complex than that. You just get used to just keep this one rolling. And I guarantee you, at the end of a week, when you go to add your top finger back in, it's just going to be hyper speed. This one's going to love coming in off the bench. And all of a sudden, because now this alteration is happening at halftime, the speed you've developed with it and the independence is going to blow you away at how much faster it suddenly is now that you've got all three of them going together. So for finger style and getting back in shape, that's my one absolute never misses kind of kick in the butt that gets things going. I recommend it. Try it out, especially if, with all the time off we have and everything, you have time to break down your technique. Just use these two for a week. See if it's for you. Add it back in and see if it doesn't make it more comfortable. And it kind of breaks down that wall too of being mildly uncomfortable with these two as opposed to these two. So with that said, what I'll usually do with my left hand is I have a sequence that I can run up and down that for me just seems to get things going. It seems to cover every possible variation of what I use in my playing and the different groupings. It's really simple, and don't forget the idea of dark matter practice like I talked about last week. Combine as much stuff as you can. Do this warm-up along with the two finger just in the back. But what I'll do is take let's say if I start here on the 3rd fret, is I'll do 3rd, then I'll put my ring finger on the 5th fret, my 2nd finger on the 4th fret, and then my pinky on the 6th fret. So I'm kind of creating this spider movement. And that's going to start getting my groupings going. And then I just move it across the strings. That serves two purposes. One is it starts getting the independence going, but it also reinforces the idea of having a relaxed hand position that's one finger per fret. And you really want to aim at this kind of idea in that this makes it a minimal movement type of approach, in that you want to try and keep it so that you have your hands spaced, that 90% of what you play is going to be underneath of this. And then if you need to reach, you kind of spread out, like, kind of fans out like a peacock feathers or something. Just like this, so that you're just kind of extending for a minute to get there. So doing things in this gets you used to using minimal movement and having your fingers each assigned to one fret. And that's how you want to approach most of your scales, most of your playing and things like that. But what I'll do in combination with that to confuse it, because I'm always trying to level up, is do that sequence, 1, 3, 2, 4, then go chromatically straight up and back. And what I mean by that is 3, 4, 5, 6. On the next string, 3, 6, 5, 4, 3. So that to me gets about every group of possible interactions there. And then you move it across the strings. And just start off with it slow at first. Get this going too. If I do this, maybe 15 minutes a day before I start playing, and then I'll use it as a warm down in a higher position. Do the simple version of it all the way across there and kind of work it down the neck just to kind of relax my hands again. At the end of a week, I'm back to Punisher mode and everything's right back where it needs to be. And it's really important, I find, to have a routine that you develop for yourself that gives you that confidence of going, I know I can get back up to speed by doing this stuff. It's like having the reliable gym routine of, all right, packed on a few pounds, lost a little muscle mass. Here's my program, and I know in 30 days I'm going to be back up to fighting weight. It's the same thing with bass, so that you don't have those moments of, I'm not as fluid as I used to be, or those insecurities. Having something where you can go, I got this, I know how to get back in fighting shape, so that you can go back to concentrating on the music and do it with confidence. And that was a really great thing for me when I got this routine is, when life episodes happen and you have to take some time off, or like with me, because with my project that I'm doing, I perform everything in it. So sometimes I have to work on vocals for a while, or sometimes I'm really heavy into writing and doing the guitar lines. I don't get to focus on my main instrument as much. And then when I come back to it, the gears are a little rusty. So having something that I know gets me back up to speed really helps. And that's what I do for it. I recommend these. They just seem to work out pretty well. And I've given them to a few students and it's really helped. So try them out. Add in some other stuff. And if you have a routine that really works like this, I'm always open to finding out new ideas. So hit me in the comments below. Do you have a warm-up routine that doesn't work and really just kind of fell on its face for you? Warn us against it. And if you got something great, turn us on to it, because sometimes you need that extra little kick. And it's amazing how just one little bit of spice into your warm-up routine can suddenly wake up the hands faster and get things moving. And it's inspirational for your playing when you get through your warm-up and you're like, hey, feeling good to go. So with that covered, let's get into topic 2. Now for the second topic, I've always kind of messed around with a technique, and it's kind of strange to me that so many techniques have crossed over from other styles of bass playing into metal. But unless I just haven't heard it, there's one that hasn't. I mean, we've seen slap bass come over. We've seen funk styles come over. We see all this type of stuff. But a technique that is incredibly common in funk, pop, all kinds of stuff, I just never see metal bass players do it. And it didn't really occur to me until with some music I'm writing right now, I was using it and I started writing some bass lines. I went, not trying to toot a horn or say like, oh, look at me, but I just went, I don't think I know somebody else that's doing this right now. It'd be really interesting to find out if there is. And that technique is ghost notes. And if you're not familiar, ghost notes are where you pluck the string but don't fret the note. So instead of going, you go, you get a dead note. So you might get a, I don't hear that often. In fact, in metal, I can't really think of it. The first time it kind of struck me, and another info card, was I did a bass demo for a company called Joey Sturgis Tones, which makes an awesome plugin called the Bass Forge Hellraiser. And I did a demo for it, and right after the initial tapping section, you can hear me doing it. And I had a number of people ask me after it, what is it you're doing during that section? And it really seems to lend itself to a lot of the modern metal and the polyrhythm type of stuff, or the odd counted kind of groupings, in that you could really make use of it and going, those type of ideas. It seems perfectly suited for it, but I don't really hear it being used. It's either, completely on or slapped, or, everything from pick to finger style, all these varied techniques. And when I go and see, jazz, or I go and see, a great funk player, or you can even go back to pop bands and stuff, reaching back to Duran Duran and things like that. These guys are using ghost notes all over the place, and it just has such a great grinding percussive thing, and it lets you kind of just be rhythmic for that part. You're not confusing things with additional note values and maybe interfering in a melody line, but you can really drive and grind the hell out of a song really well without, having to do much other than just worry about really locking in rhythm-wise. So, have you heard a metal band using this? I'd love to hear it, because I love the idea of it and the sound of it, and it's just such a great way of propelling groove and everything. But I feel like metal bass players are missing out on it. I really don't hear it that much. So I'd like to see a challenge on this one, since I'm trying to come up with some new and interesting ideas on the stuff I'm working on, and some different ways of approaching bass that I haven't used, or, capitalizing on what I did in the JST demo and stuff. Try working on one. See if you can come up with something. Let's see if we can add ghost notes into this and write some metal bass lines that have them in it and are really just crushing, and transform it from having that kind of upbeat Tower of Power, Rocco Prestia kind of funk sound, to see if we can make it dark and something for us, or a little bit just more aggressive. And link to videos, pop up the ideas that you've been able to do with it. And if you really want to see the masters on this stuff, you got to go back to like Rocco Prestia from Tower of Power. Look up any of his videos, and then I'm sure the YouTube suggestion mark is just going to start plowing through and showing you a ton of other really great players that are using this, but they're all going to be funk-based, so be prepared. Now, my other request for you guys is I'm really going to start doing a larger expansion of the complete reaches of metal bass and who's really challenging things. One episode I'm going to be covering, it's going to be a little bit, admittedly. I've got the new series I mentioned about production starting. I've got the harmonics lesson coming up, a couple other things, so I've got to pace these a little bit. But I'm going to do an examination of Fretless. And, you have guys like, the guy in Beyond Creation is obviously awesome. If you go to lighter hard rock, things like that, you got some stuff with Tony Franklin and his work in The Firm and Blue Murder and bands like that. But have I missed some fantastic metal fretless bass lines? Definitely hit me up. This is going to be ammo for a future episode, and I may even transcribe some of the stuff, or see about doing some playing examples and things of examples that all of you have found that you think are just really cool examples of fretless being used in metal. Because again, I hear fretless and I hear ghost notes, but even then it's still rare. And it's such a really amazing sound. Guys like Steve DiGiorgio and things, they're really using it to fantastic effect. So outside of the obvious ones that might be there, like, Steve and Beyond Creation and stuff, hit me with the obscure stuff. See if you can help me find some of this stuff, and I'll definitely toss you a thanks in the upcoming Fretless thing for helping out with some research and stuff. And it's always kind of interesting that so much of my plans for future videos get radically changed or even tossed just based on the information that all of you provide in the comments section. And I hope that's a really cool thing. I try and focus on the suggestions you make. I do read every comment and I write the stuff down. Most of my content comes from you. So I want it to be as interactive as possible. So give me what you got. Show me the fretless stuff. Now, I'm going to give you one suggestion, and I'm going to put it on a Spotify playlist, but if it's not metal, it's barely hard rock, but a fantastic fretless player, a guy that's played from everybody from Pete Townsend to Robert Plant to The Who to Nine Inch Nails even. Now that's a career. Pino Palladino. Check him out, and I'm going to put up a song that he did with Pete Townsend and David Gilmour from Pink Floyd that's got a fantastic groove. It's all fretless bass, and there's a fretless bass solo in the middle of it. How do you know you're the king? When Pete Townsend and David Gilmour step outside and let you take the solo as the fretless bass player. That's pretty amazing. So that's definitely one to check out. Check out my Spotify link below. And as always, I'm going to be putting up more and more playlists of things for you guys to check out. And any song or music that we talk about, I try and put them in there so you have a reference and can listen on your own time. So that's going to wrap it up for this week. I hope the basic routine comes in. Again, hit me in the comments. Let me know how that's going. And as far as the channel goes, if you really want to help out more than anything else, just sharing the videos helps. That draws more attention from the YouTube algorithm and really helps them let you. That draws more attention from the YouTube algorithm and lets them know that people are talking about it. So really trying to grow and make this a bigger community, not just about me, but for all of us, because the more people who are in on it and the more ideas that get tossed around, the better my content is, the more it's exactly what people want to see. So like, subscribe, and share. Hit that bell and hit the notification thing, because you got to go through 15 hoops just to find out what's coming up. So with that going, more coming this week. Gonna have a reaction video coming up here and an analysis on a song that I know everybody watching has heard before, so it's going to be a real cool one. And as always, thanks so much to all of you and to the students that have come, and I'm blessed to know you. Absolutely. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week.